And welcome to News Round, where you get a recap of top stories during the week. Coming up, President Tinubu raises the 2025 budget proposal from 49.7 trillion to 54.2 trillion naira. And over 7,700 Nigerian refugees in Chad are set to return home following an agreement between Nigeria and Chad and the United Nations. And the Senate launches investigation into allegations made by Niger's military leader against Nigeria. Plus, U.S. President Donald Trump signs order to impose sanctions on International Criminal Court. The ICC vows to continue its judicial work. And we begin with what appears to dominate conversations during the week as President Bola Tinubu raised the proposed 2025 budget to 54.2 trillion naira from 49.7 trillion, citing additional revenues generated by key government agencies. He conveyed the budget adjustment in separate letters sent to both the Senate and the House of Representatives, which were read during plenary. President Tinubu listed the increase to include 1.4 trillion naira in additional revenue from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, 1.2 trillion naira from the Nigeria Customs Service, and 1.8 trillion naira generated by other government-owned agencies. Take a listen.
Lawmakers reconvene for the second plenary session of the week. A request from President Bola Tinubu proposing an increase in the 2025 appropriation bill from 49.7 trillion naira to 54.2 trillion naira is read.
I am writing to inform you of the availability of additional revenue amounting to 4.5 trillion naira and to propose its allocation within the 2025 appropriation bill to enhance the budget's responsiveness to the nation's most pressing priorities and aspirations. So from government-owned enterprises, GOEs, we have about 1.8 trillion. From Federal Inland Revenue Services, FIRS, we have about 1.4 or 1.5 thereabout trillion. And federal government's 52% share of the increase in revenue from 22.1 trillion to 25.1 trillion. With this additional revenue, the 2025 appropriation bill's total budget size will increase from 49.7 trillion to 54.2 trillion naira.
The Senate's president also reads a letter from a lawmaker stating his desire to defect from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress.
I urge the Senate to reflect my further stay in these chambers as a full-fledged member of the All Progressives Congress. The PDP is almost dead and about to be buried with my defection. Please accept the assurances of my highest regards. Yours sincerely, Senator Prince Ned Nwoko, the new APC member of the Nigerian Senate.
His defection brings the total number of APC lawmakers to 64, while the PDP now has 33 lawmakers. This did not go down well with members of the opposition in the Senate.
We may be having issues in PDP. There is crisis, no doubt about it, but definitely there is no division in the rank and file and the leadership of the PDP.
This is a matter that rests squarely on the Constitution, the right of every legislator to cross carpet.
Mr. President, everybody knows in this country that is a split in the PDP. You have the wicked faction, you have Bala Muhammad and his co-faction. Are they divided?
The point of order raised by the Senate leader is hereby.
Mr. President, there is no division in PDP.
Minority leader, your request is ruled out of order.
The lawmakers also consider a request by President Tinubu to terminate the appointment of 3 suspended resident electoral commissioners.
Senate is also aware that the aforementioned resident electoral commissioners were early suspended in 2022 and 2023, bordering on allegations of infractions of Electoral Act.
Barrister Hudu Yunusa Ari, Adamawa State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Professor Ekemefuna Chijioke Uzochukwu, Abia State Electoral Commissioner, by more than 2/3 of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the appointments are hereby terminated.
In line with this resolution, the Senate has directed the clerk to formally communicate the approval of the request to President Tinubu for implementation. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And the Senate has ordered an investigation into allegations made by Niger Republic's military leader, General Abdurrahman Tichani, accusing the Nigerian government of colluding with France to destabilize Niger's internal security. This order followed a motion brought to the Senate by the chairman of the Senate Committee on National Security and Intelligence, Senator Shehu Buba.
It is the last plenary for the week, and the Deputy President of the Senate is presiding. A motion on allegations against Nigeria by the military leader of Niger Republic is brought forward.
The Senate notes with deep concern the serious and unfounded allegations made by the head of state of Niger Republic, Brigadier General Abdurrahman Chani, accusing Nigeria of colluding with France to destabilize Niger through a new militia group called Lakurawa, allegedly operating in Nigeria's northwest region. He claimed that foreign military bases in Nigeria are being used to target Niger's oil pipelines and create security threats.
These allegations are highly sensitive, and according to the lawmakers, it requires thorough investigation.
Let us just agree that his committee be made to go and carry out whatever investigation that needs to be carried out. And the committee will present a report to us in an executive session.
The motion is now referred to the Committee on Intelligence and National Security, jointly with the Committee on Foreign Affairs, to report back within 4 weeks.
In another motion, the lawmakers debate the recent oil spill and fire outbreak in Bokuma, River State.
Recalls that incidents of oil spills and fire outbreaks in the Niger Delta region are recurrent and often result from lapses in safety protocols, sabotage, or inadequate enforcement of environmental laws.
This OML 18, where this spill has occurred, the operator should be given heavy fine.
I think we need to institute pollution tax in that area. And whatever revenue is generated from that tax should be used to address these type of problems.
We should look at the behaviors of international oil companies, how they are doing it, and we have to bring them to book.
The resolutions are subsequently adopted.
Oil spill detection and response agency knows that to immediately investigate the cause of the fire outbreak and oil spill from manifold well 8 and submit a detailed report to the Senate within 4 weeks.
Meanwhile, the Senate has confirmed Captain Chris Najomo as the substantive Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority after the consideration of a report by the Senate Committee on Aviation. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And Vice President Kashim Shettima is urging African leaders to stop depending on foreign plans and instead embrace actionable sovereignty. He stated this when he represented President Bola Tinubu at the commemorative symposium to mark the 60th birthday of former governor of Ekiti State, Mr. Kayode Fayemi, in Abuja.
This is a commemorative symposium celebrating the 60th birthday of the former governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, and the unveiling of a Pan-African Transformative Initiative known as the Amandla Institute for Policy and Leadership Advancement. dignitaries across various divides were in attendance, including Vice President Kashim Shettima, former Head of State General Yakubu Gowon, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former President of the Senate Dr. Obukola Saraki, former and 7 ministers, former and 7 governors, faith leaders, and royal fathers. The event aims to provide valuable insights into Nigeria's leadership and policy gateways.
As Africans, we deserve the very best, not just what we believe our circumstances or our context dictate. He is always looking ahead to what is possible, not fixated on what is not achievable in the short term. Envisioning, strategic thinking, leveraging relationships and partnerships to accomplish goals have always been JKF's strengths.
On behalf of myself, I say thank you. You are a benefactor, you are standing by me, and you are being a good leader, a good mentor, a good brother, and a good friend.
Today, we are living in surreal times where the rule of law is AWOL, where leadership is questioned, and where trust is broken and our social fabric is tearing. And that they have a Nigerian at the helm of affairs who is trying to fill these gaps and address leadership is just amazing, and it is where Nigeria should be, leadership in Africa and the world.
Former President of South Africa, Mr. Thabo Mbeki, delivered the keynote address virtually and elevates the conversation to include Africa's leadership role on the global stage.
We will endeavor for Africa to take its rightful place in the political, security, economic and social systems of global governance towards the realization of its renaissance and establishing Africa as a leading continent. And thus we reiterate our commitment to Africa's active role in the globalization process and international forums, including in the financial and economic institutions.
His position is buttressed by Nigeria's former head of state.
Pan-Africanism should evolve to embrace model changes by incorporating technology and innovation to solve our problems.
Vice President Kashim Shettima represented President Bola Tinubu at the event and makes a clarion call for African leaders.
It's time for Africa to stop debating ideas and start deploying them. The Mandela Institute must become a command center for the continent, turning thinkers into doers, policies into progress, and Pan-African ideals into lived realities.
In his thoughts, the celebrant stresses the imperative of effective leadership and policies.
We cannot see the squalor and the poverty and the inequality around us, even if we're privileged and can still eat 3 square meals a day, and forget what is happening to the larger majority of our people. And I think that is really what a Mandela Institute speaks to.
As Nigeria and Africa stand at the crossroads of history, the message from this symposium is unequivocal. There is need to bridge its leadership inadequacies in order to address its global challenges. The Mandela Institute is calling for transformative leadership. Benny R. for Channels Television News.
Well, 7,790 Nigerian refugees in Chad are set to return to the homeland following the signing of an agreement in Bagasol and Chad Republic. The agreement is between Nigeria, Chad, and United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, which is to ensure the safe and voluntary return of the refugees. The refugees, most of them indigent of Borno, who were displaced as a result of the insurgency, have been living in Chad as refugees in a remote area in the country since 2014. They've been living there and mostly facing untold hardships.
Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State, accompanied by the Minister of State for Humanitarian Affairs, Mr. Yusuf Sununu, is received by the Governor of Lak Province in Chad. The delegation is here to formalize the repatriation of some Nigerians who have taken refuge in Chad following the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria's northeast region. Officials put pen to paper to formalize the tripartite agreement, which involves Nigeria, Chad, and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees.
We are ready to receive all those who voluntarily on their own desire to go back to Nigeria, and we ensure that they are transported back to Nigeria, they are settled and also integrated in our country. They will be given all the conventional rights as enshrined in the international agreements.
We are fully committed to ensuring that this structural framework enables a coordinated and gradual process, guaranteeing refugees a return under the best possible conditions. And as long as these conditions are not met, we know they will continue to rely on Chad's protection in accordance with international commitments.
The agreement is to guarantee the safe and voluntary return of the refugees. In the first batch of the repatriation exercise, 1,768 families, comprising 7,790 people, will return to Nigeria. The delegation also flagged off the voluntary return of the refugees from the Dar es Salaam camp in Chad. The Borno State government is promising to provide support to ensure the returnees are properly settled in their ancestral homes.
We are here to witness the first batch of the repatriation exercise, and I want to commend the federal government of Chad, and I also want to most respectfully commend the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who has given us all the necessary support in order to facilitate this voluntary return. On my own part, as the governor of Borno State, I will continue to provide the support, and above all, let me commend the Nigerian military.
According to the UNHCR, there are more camps for Nigerian refugees in Chad, and this step is considered the first in many that will see the safe and dignified return of displaced Nigerians in Chad and other neighboring countries.
And security matters also featured in public discourse during the week when the commander of the Sector 2 of the Joint Task Force Operation Hadarin Daji, Major General Ibikunle Ajose, disclosed that troops on the verge of flushing out the Lakurawa bandits from Kebbi State. Major General Ajose made this known during a courtesy visit to Governor Nasir Idris at the Government House in Burning Kebbi, the Kebbi State capital. Governor Nasir Idris also appealed to the army to deploy additional personnel to the state.
The Chief of Defense Staff has sent me down here to discuss with the operational commanders and work out modalities of improving the security in the area. He has already mandated that the Defense Headquarters Special Operations Brigade that has commenced operation in Gudu, Tangaza, shift down to Arewa. So in the coming days, you'll see more presence of troops in that general area to ensure that the sect Lakurawa do not have any safe haven in Kebbi and Sokoto State.
Let me also use this medium to ask you to thank the civil, because wherever we have a problem, when we place a call, he will answer the call and he will take action. That is why you can see that issue of Lakurawa infiltrated some of our, not only Ariwa, Augi is part of them, part of Bonza and the Sulu local government. But by God's grace, they are able to address all those areas. We need additional manpower, and I want to assure you that Kebbi State government is ready to partner with you to ensure that our people sleep with their two eyes closed.
And to the south-south, where the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, met with stakeholders in the nation's oil and gas industry from the Niger Delta. At a meeting which held in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, was called to review the president's directive to ramp up crude oil production in the region. General Musa expressed optimism with the right strategies. The country will achieve the 2.2 million barrels per day benchmark set by the president.
In July 2024, following President Tinubu's directive to ramp up oil production, a security and stakeholders meeting was convened, during which the Chief of Defense Staff issued a 3-month ultimatum to curb oil theft in the Niger Delta and increase output to 2.2 million barrels per day. 6 months later, the defense chief has reconvened a similar meeting. After an extensive closed-door session lasting over 4 hours, General Christopher Musa briefed journalists on key resolutions reached.
There has been a remarkable improvement, but not what as we wish. The president has given us a mandate to ensure that we hit 2.5 million barrels per day. Now that is our target. So working together, we have seen that we need to do more for all organizations, the security agencies, the private companies, the IOCs, and the local companies. That we need to work together, and we have all committed ourselves to doing that. We're going to have so much synergy, and Nigerians will be proud of what will happen ongoing.
When asked why production figures have remained at 1.8 million barrels per day since the last briefing, General Musa explained the reasons behind the fluctuations.
When I gave the 3 months ultimatum, we had hit almost 1.7 then. Now we have been going, as it is, because of the nature of the environment, it fluctuates. On 1.8 comes down to 1.7. But we want to assure Nigerians that we are targeting 2.5 to ensure, and we know we can do that, But again, we can't do it alone. We need Nigerians to cooperate, especially the communities around those areas. They must understand that vandalizing pipelines and all in whatever form is not the best, and it will not do us any well. So we must all put hands together to ensure that we succeed.
Representatives of the NMPCO and the National Security Advisor also expressed optimism that, going by the plans unveiled at the meeting, Nigeria is on a track to meeting the 2.5 barrels per day target set by the presidency.
We are happy that the new directive have been given and the new timeline, and also we are looking at 2.5 million barrels, as the CDS had just said. So I want to assure Nigerians that we'll do everything possible to ensure that we'll meet up that target.
The news for all Nigerians is that NMPC, under the leadership of Malam Melekolo Kyari, will not rest. We will do everything possible, working with our professional government security agencies and all security actors to make sure that finally this time we deliver on Mr. President's directive that our oil and gas assets must translate into better living conditions for the people of Nigeria.
Stakeholders seem confident that sustained collaboration between security agencies and oil operators will not only curb oil theft, but also ensure Nigeria meets its production goals. Deborah Abalama, Channels Television News.
In electioneering news, ahead of the forthcoming governorship poll in Anambra State on November the 8th this year, the Independent National Electoral Commission called on civil society groups to partner strongly with security agencies to prevent all forms of electoral fraud to occur during party primaries. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu made the appeal at a meeting with the leadership of civil society groups in Abuja.
The INEC chairman is hosting his first consultative meeting for 2025 with civil society groups in Abuja. And top of the agenda is the preparations for the forthcoming Anambra State governorship election. In attendance are chairmen and coordinators of various civil society groups who have monitored recent elections in Nigeria. The INEC chairman wants these election observers to also monitor the activities of political parties during their primaries.
Some of you have made actionable recommendations on how to curtail the menace, which have been favorably considered by the Commission. It is time to cast your net wide by focusing on the incidence of delegate buying by aspirants during primaries. Some delegates openly boasted of how much money they made from aspirants during party primaries. You should intensify your advocacy in support of the practical steps taken by the relevant security agencies as well as the law enforcement agencies to tackle this diabolical practice.
INEC has slated November the 8th for the governorship election. The electoral body also set the timelines for other activities that will precede the election, such as party primaries and political party campaigns. The election observer groups pledged to collaborate with the electoral umpire to make the whole process credible.
We'll need the collective effort of not just civil society, but the security agencies and the media. And we will, as we have already started doing, continue to beam searchlights on the activities of politicians, their political parties, and their candidates in any elections. We want to implore INEC to, if possible, ensure that the level of preparedness that was put into organizing the Ondo election, that will up the ante for Anambra and give Nigerians the kind of elections that they look forward to.
The Anambra State governorship election is barely 9 months away, and the electoral body believes strongly that members of civil society can make the process more credible by spreading their nets to cover pre-election activities of the political parties.
Executive order sanctioning the International Criminal Court for what it terms illegitimate and baseless actions targeting America and Israel. The order comes with implications of financial and visa restrictions on individuals and their families who assist in ICC investigations of American citizens or allies. In response to this, the International Criminal Court has vowed to continue its judicial work. The ICC said it stands firmly by its personnel, and the order seeks to harm its independence and impartial work. And those were the top stories for the week. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.